In the current market, I think it's very tempting for people to just apply to every single role that's out there. But as a recruiter, there's nothing more frustrating than getting completely relevant applications for your role.
Yeah, I think it's important to realise the purpose of the recruiter is not to get in your way, it's to actually keep the client happy, because they've been tasked with finding a particular candidate with a particular set of skills for the client, and that's their main objective. So when they're assessing candidates and CVs, that's what they've got in mind.
And I think people don't normally or generally ask themselves what would happen if a recruitment consultant forwarded the application that was completely irrelevant to their client. In truth, they'd probably get laughed at, they'd lose all credibility with their client, and it might result in the client not wanting to work with them because they'll be questioning their judgment. And that's not a position that any recruitment consultant wants to be in.
No, they've almost invariably got a tick list of things that they need to have. So a particular set of qualifications, a particular set of experiences, and they'll be going through that in their head when they're reading your CV.
Yeah, and personally speaking myself, if I'm looking for someone with a very specific set of qualifications to do a very technical role, it's not as if I'm going to have a change of heart because I've had an application come through because someone happens to be a very nice chap. If you haven't got those specific requirements, you're not right for that role, full stop.
No, requirements are there for a reason. Don't ignore them and just use them to your advantage, because the ones that you are right for, you're going to be in a smaller pool of relevant people and have a better chance of getting the job.
I think finally it's important to point out that if you have someone who repeatedly applies for a number of roles that they're not relevant for, they can end up damaging their own credibility in the eyes of the recruiter. So I think overall you really need to be selective with the roles you go for and only apply for ones that you feel that are completely relevant to you.
The best way of approaching your job search is to think about the roles that you're qualified to do and the roles that you've got experience to do. These days, I think probably driven by the current climate, experience seems to be superseding skill sets. So whereas previously a client might say, oh, he doesn't have the experience in my industry, but he does have transferable skills. Nowadays, they won't take that risk and would look more favourably on industry experience than skill sets.
I think if you're looking for a career change and you're currently in work, particularly with the economic climate right now where lots of companies are tightening their belts, I think you can afford to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more selective. And then maybe if the right opportunity arises, then you can go for that career change on a completely new path. But if you're out of work at the moment, I think you need to focus really on jobs that you could actually do right now, given the skills that you've got.
It's also important, I think, to register your details on as many CV databases as possible, because it's an important tool in the job market these days.
Yeah, there's CV databases all over the place. Every major job board in the UK will have a CV database attached to it. And there's not a recruitment consultancy in the UK that will not use a CV database for searching. So I think it's important if you're looking for a new position to get your information on those databases. You won't know which databases recruiters will have access to, so get yourself on as many as possible. With the overall objective of just increasing the potential visibility of your details.
And on that, make sure they're coded up properly as well. Yeah. So if you have sales experience, make sure that on the TV database you've ticked that box. Equally, if you've got a technical qualification in IT, make sure you've ticked that box as well, because when people are looking, that's how they're going to find you and identify your skills and experiences.
Yeah, that's also really important, because most of the job boards these days have a jobs by email service, and what emails you see in the morning will be determined by what jobs have been posted the night before by recruiters, but also how you've coded yourself up in the database. So if you've got that wrong, you'll start getting emails of irrelevant jobs to your inbox from the next day onwards. So it's important to get that right.
How much do you use LinkedIn? Because it's an important tool for me in what I do, but it's still fairly new, isn't it?
It is new as a tool, but lots of recruiters are using it. We're encouraging everyone at our place to use it as a recruitment tool. I think as an individual looking for a position, the most important thing you have to do is make sure your LinkedIn profile is completely up to date. It is effectively a virtual CV, and if you have a good profile which spells out exactly what you've done in your past and a decent network, it increases the visibility of who you are and what you can do. So looking for a new job, get your LinkedIn profile up to date and start to increase your network.